Good morning. The September 3rd, 2019 meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order, and we're pleased to have with us this morning our own Mrs. Ginger Dees from our IS department with us this morning to lead us in our invocation. And after the invocation, please remain standing for the pledge to the flag. Thank you so much, Ms. Dees, for being here.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I come before you this morning as we start this meeting, focusing on you, praising you, Lord, for every blessing and the opportunity to be here today. So we put our agenda to the side, Lord. We ask for guidance and leadership as each thing is brought before this board, that every decision will be made to honor you. Lord, we ask you to be with all of our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our fire department, as they put their lives on the line to keep us safe each and every day. We ask for you to be with our teachers, Lord, as they are shaping the minds of the future, Lord, of all our children here in our county and throughout the nation. And God, most of all, we ask for your guidance and your leadership on the leaders of our nation as they decide the laws and the things of this land, Lord, to protect us, to keep us safe, to make decisions that affect each and every one of us. We thank you, Lord, for being here today, and we just pray that everything that's done today will be pleasing to you. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Dees, thank you so much for being here this morning, leading us in our invocation. And good morning to the citizens of Douglas County. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners, we value your voice and we appreciate your participation in county government. I've received notification from our clerk that no one has signed up for public comments. So with that being said, I'll just move straight on to the approval of the minutes. Board of Commissioners, you have the commission meetings, the meeting minutes of August 20th, 2019, the work session minutes of August 19, 2019, the executive session minutes of August 19, 2019, and a special call meeting, two of which was August 20th, 2019 and August 27, 2019. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions that need to be made?
No, ma'am.
Being none, the minutes stand approved as presented. Next, Board of Commissioners, we'll move on straight into our business item, which is tab number 5. We have appointment of Janet Payne to the Behavioral Health and Developmental Disability Region 1 to be effective immediately. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes, Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner, can you please do this one manually?
Sure. We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. Thank you so much, Clerk. Do we need to, should I be manual? Everything else is, okay, thank you so much. Next, we'll move into our consent agenda, and all items are subject to final legal review. Tab number 6 is authorization for Georgia Power to install street lights at I-20 and Post Road at a cost of $9,103 to be paid by the 2016 SPLOST funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 7, authorization for Greystone to install street lights at I-20 and Liberty Road, Highway 5, Chapel Hill Road, Lee Road, and Thornton Road at a cost of $86,627.53 to be paid by, out of the 2016 SPLOST funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 8, authorization to award on-demand consulting services contracts to the firms of Michael Baker Corporation, GCA Incorporation, Pond and Company, THC Incorporation, and Lowe's Engineers, LLC, to provide services for transportation projects as needed by the county, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 9, authorization to approve supplemental agreement SA-01 with the Corbett Group, LLC, in the amount of $135,296.21 for plan changes resulting in additional quantities of materials on the Whitestone Culvert replacement project to be funded by the 2016 SPLOST per recommendation from the Transportation Committee, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 10, authorization to grant a right-of-way easement to Greystone Power Corporation in order to move a power pole at Clinton Nature Preserve, and for the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 11, authorization to approve a service agreement with Whitlock for audiovisual equipment in the Emergency Operations Center in the amount of $7,822.75, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 12, authorization to amend the general fund budget for GDOT funds in the amount of $565,600 for the 2017 Lee Road project expenditures that were originally determined as non-reimbursable. Tab number 13, authorization to accept a rebate check from Georgia Power Energy Efficiency Program in the amount of $30,900.66, and authorize, or should I say, and amend the budget at this time. And tab number 14, authorization to grant a right-of-way easement to Greystone Power at the South Douglas Public Safety Radio Tower, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Board of Commissioners, that concludes our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any particular item? Commissioner Robinson.
All right. Mr. Valentine, if he's here, Director Valentine, please come forward.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, two very quick ones, one quick and probably one long. Number 7, street light. Looks like we're awarded a contract to Greystone Power to erect street lights throughout the county. Do we have assurances that we'll have a schedule and that we can set the public's expectation that these lights will go in timely? Can you? We talked about that in the work session. I just need to be a
Yes, at the last board meeting, the representative from Greystone indicated that they were aware of the timeliness, the urgency of the streetlights, and although they didn't have a specific schedule, they indicated that they would move on this expeditiously.
Okay. So again, here's always the challenge. We had an experience last time putting lights on Riverside, which was supposed to have been a quick win, right? We first did the SPLOST, and it has gotten a lot of traction and brought great value to obviously everybody who cuts through that area and who live in that area. While some people love crickets and the night sky, that was a very dangerous road. Obviously, it's right across from right next to the Chattahoochee. Deer always bounce along there. A lot of winding roads, and it's on a hill. So don't get me wrong; it was very valuable. Nevertheless, we're now extending that to that concept where some people are like, well, can I get some lights just for safety reasons? They don't want to urbanize it, but they want at least for a safety reason. And so when we say these things to the public that these are coming, but we can't set their expectation to win, that's like tinker, it's like pixie dust. We can do better than that. If you're paying if you know how long it takes you to get to the moon, we know how long it takes us to get to Mars. You're telling me we can't figure out how long it's going to take to put poles up? It's not you. To say that we're going to work on it, come on now, we're paying for this. Give me a schedule. Give me a relative framework so we can tell the public, so we can hold expectations. I mean, I cannot overemphasize. I don't want any of my district commissioners to go through what I had to go through regarding those lights. And it's not enough. We're going to work on it. Come on, guys. All right, you got my point. Let that go. All right, moving on. Number 8, on-demand standby contracts. And this is something we've gone round and round. We talked about it in purchasing. We talked about this purchasing committee. We talked about it in the transportation committee. And it came to the Board of Commissioners. We pushed it back down. It's back before us. And we settled. I think originally it was like it wouldn't make a difference, but I guess it did. That now we're down to just 5 as opposed to original 11. But I want to talk about these 5 on demand. And there was these contractors, but what's missing here, for the public's sake, is what are the projects that these people are being assigned to? It sounds like we're about to award on-demand consulting to these contractors. And I want to be clear that these are just a single task order, and I want to know the projects for the public. Can we just, these 5 firms, what are their work being tied to, please, for the public?
Yes, certainly, Commissioner. The contract for Michael Baker is to work on State Route 92 and Riverside Drive intersection project. The one for GCA is for work at State Route 92 in Mount Vernon, should any additional work be required during the construction phase. The one for Pond and Company is for the work at State Route and Douglas Boulevard intersection. The one for Lowe's Engineers is for Maxim Road sidewalk project. And the one for THC is for the Chapel Hill 4 intersections project right-of-way acquisition.
Was that 5 or 6?
5.
5, all right, okay. All right, so there's 5 firms. I want to focus in on, I thought there was 4 originally, but let's assume it was 5, and I know we were provided confirmation of that. Chapel Hill intersections, please explain that just for the record. Is that just a sidewalk that we talked about, the rites of passage down the street from the high school? Tell me about that.
There were 2 projects actually combined. Initially, it started out as a left turn at 2 intersections. Then it was expanded to provide essentially a turning lane at 4 different intersections. But as we got into a little bit of the conceptual design and preliminary design, we realized that as part of this PLOST, there was a sidewalk project intended for that area as well. So we combined both of those elements.
Okay.
And so in addition to that, there is a longer-term widening of Chapel Hill Road to 4 lanes, which is envisioned further down the line. And when we combine the 2 projects, the sidewalk and the turn lanes, we realized that it would be beneficial to acquire the right-of-way that we would need for the future project at this time. So that is what we are anticipating doing, and that is what this task would entail.
Okay.
With the right-of-way acquisition, it isn't just purchasing the land, but there are a lot of preliminary steps that they have to do.
All right, stay right there. And this is where I need, we may need to think about this, and this is what intersections, I get. The distance between the high school and wherever you were going, I get. And that's something that was on the SPLOST. The widening of Chapel Hill has only come in this current era, right? I don't see it on any type of long-term capital planning. I don't see where there was an actual board commitment, though I know, and I support 100% District 3. I know this was one of the first things that came out the gate. Here's what I want to be real careful about, because I don't want my peers to experience what I had to go through with Lee Road. You're acquiring right-of-way with no financing. You're acquiring right-of-way, which is the whole debacle that you had to fix. We're getting ahead of ourselves by expanding the scope ever so, like, wait a minute. And we were going over this, I'm like, wait a minute. You're going to buy some land, you're going to condemn, you're going to do all that on Chapel Hill, you're going to buy all this up, and you have no financing? It's real subtle. Intersections, absolutely. Sidewalk, absolutely. But it was just that phrase, well, it seemed like it was the right thing to do. We just can't give people work to be giving them work. That right-of-way right there is like, why are we acquiring right-of-way when you have no financing? So you're obligating us to a long-term vision that's like, it's the very thing you had to fix with Lee Road. I don't want you to go down that path.
Commissioner, may I clarify? We would have had, in connection with the sidewalk project and the turn lanes, because we have to widen the actual paved area, we would have had to get into right-of-way. The question was, do we get into 5 feet or 10 feet for the longer term? So that is not an issue of do we buy right-of-way now or not, is do we buy enough to do this project, or do we buy enough to do the future project should it materialize?
I understand. So unlike with Lee Road, where you could do resurfacing and not lose that when you go to 5 lanes or 4 lanes or whatever it is, so you're gonna put down sidewalks and have to tear up later? I mean, and I know that's not your intent. But again, one more time, the scope was very simple. The sidewalk and the 4 intersections. But to then go beyond that, and it was just real simple, like, well, wait a minute, why are we requiring when that was never on the docket? This only came in the era when Commissioner Carthen brought it out, like, hey, this is important for my district going forward. I get it, but it's how, like, well, you know, we never talked about that widening. And again, I just want my peers to understand what we're committing to here. You need to be conscious of it. It's like, no, I get what the director's saying, but he's just offering up something. We don't have to agree to this, right? It's always be like, no, I hear what staff is saying. I'm looking at you like, no, I just came through. One more time, you know what I just had to go through with Lee Road? Do you understand what I went through with street lights? So there's a history here. It's like, no, you're about to repeat something. You're about to repeat something. And our zeal to get ahead obligates the Board of Commissioners to a path that, and I'm cool. Y'all better know what we're about to sign up for. If it costs me $21 million to widen Lee Road, and Chapel Hill's what, at least equivalent or longer, do y'all know what y'all saying? Do you know what we're committing to? It's nowhere on a list. All right, I'm going to finish my comment. I'm going to let somebody else weigh in, and I'm not certain. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I want to wait and let, if anybody else is going to say nothing. If they don't, I may come back later. I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Guider?
Yes, Director Valentine, we're approving just a list of designers right now.
That's correct.
In this meeting, we're not approving the projects.
That is correct.
That would have to be handled at another meeting. And also, the financing would be discussed at that time. We can't just use splosh funds for everything that everybody wants. We have certain projects that was voted on by citizens representing each district. And this is, the widening of Chapel Hill was never brought out. It's not in the splosh dollars, so we've got to finish all the other projects before we can do all over the county in accordance to the priority list, right?
That is correct. The widening project for Chapel Hill encompasses 3.5 miles. The purchasing of right-of-way that's required for the current SPLOST project is less than a mile. So it's not the entire extent of Chapel Hill. It's just where.
Where would the widening extend from?
Correct.
Elizabeth Drive down toward school or something?
That is correct.
I understand that the intersections were in the splosh, and of course, the sidewalks were in the splosh for the intersections, but that's beyond, anything other than that would be beyond the scope of the splosh. Okay? So, and that would have to come before the board for approval.
That's correct.
All right. All right. On the, let's switch gears here. On the ramps off of I-20 and the lights, would you explain to the public what we're talking about when we say lights? How many per intersection and therefore?
I don't know the exact number because Mark Teal was more involved in the discussions. However, the intent at the intersections is to light the ramps so that someone driving down the road can see where to turn off the highway.
I think I saw at one point the number 2 per ramp. Was that ever discussed here?
Yes, that is correct. So there'll be 2 per ramp at the intersect where the ramp meets the side street. That's our intent. Now, however, they will have to be approved by Georgia DOT. it'll be
So there's
2
not,
on
there's not
each
going to be
ramp.
one where it connects to I-20?
No, ma'am.
I thought there
No,
was
it's our
going to be one.
understanding that GDOT will not approve those. So there are 2 planned at each where the ramp intersects the side street. So on all 4 legs. So
Okay.
that would be 8 per interchange.
Okay, so this is really where the intersection of the road that the ramp's going to connect to?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Gotcha, okay. I just wanted that kind of explained. And also, on number 9, the Whitestone, this is the final adjustment, I hope.
Me too.
This was approved by this board January of 2017, and we're just now getting the design and the company that's going to actually install the bridge.
That's correct.
And this is, should be all the adjustments to that. A lot of the money came from various sources. We had some from the developer out there that owns most of the vacant lots. We had some from WSA, like 50,000 from them. Then we had some of the top-end bond money that we had to call in under the old developer. So the majority of it came from there. And am I leaving anybody out? Give everybody
From
their
the state.
due. Huh?
The state.
And the
LNet.
state, oh, yes. They sent 150,000?
That's correct.
All right, all right. But had we done it back in 2009, of course, most of us were not here, it wouldn't have cost near this amount. And that's what dragging our feet can cost us when we have our projects going forward. We need to make sure they're done timely so that we're not paying twice as much as originally estimated. So, and that's all I have with you. Now, I don't know about the other commissioners, but I would ask Chief Scott Spencer if you will come forward. Thank you. And I'll keep this short. We have on here under item number 14 that we're the easement to Greystone Power so that we can install that last tower in the southernmost part of the county. Where do we go from here? When is the estimated time of not arrival, but estimated time of going live with our new radio system?
We are still getting the word that end of November, 1st of December.
All right,
They're in the process of actually they poured part of the pad last week, and then they'll be finishing that up this week, depending on the weather, of course.
yeah,
And our project manager with Motorola, we thought Saturday he was going to be deployed down to the hurricane area, but he's still in town, so that's a good thing. But even if he does get deployed, his work crews are still carrying on with the project.
now we will go live, you said November of this year, but we won't have it fully implemented until after the spring, when spring comes.
Our understanding is we should go live by the end of the year, for sure. And then the final testing
The testing is what I was
is
talking
what
about.
will take place once the leaves get back on the trees. Our contract says that the final testing has to be done when there's leaves on the trees.
That's because the foliage interferes with the
It
reception.
can interfere, so we want
Okay.
to make sure that we're testing it under the most adverse conditions,
But we're still on target as far as the date of going live, and we're still under budget
Yes,
as
ma'am.
of right now. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I yield back.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Geiger? Commissioner Carthen?
Director Miguel? Thank you for not going far. You must have had a feeling you were going to get called back up. Can you talk a little bit more about acquiring the right-of-way for those intersections along Chapel Hill? Now, I do understand the comments of my colleagues, Commissioner Guider and Commissioner Robinson, that we have not, I assume, done a study. Is that correct, Mark? Have we done a study of Chapel Hill?
No,
Why?
not that I'm aware of, not a full-blown study, no.
Not a full-blown study. Okay. But in your professional opinion of acquiring these right-of-ways, it would just make more sense to acquire enough of the right-of-way now so that we won't have to go back and do that. We don't want to do double work. We don't want to belabor those types of issues because we know right-of-ways can take a while because some of our projects are held up because of right-of-way acquisitions.
No question about it, Commissioner. In this particular case, the road is, at the moment, 2 lanes wide. To do the project under SPLOST, we take it to 3 lanes. And the ultimate project is 4 lanes. So essentially, we would either buy enough right-of-way now to add a lane and then come back later and buy more right-of-way within that expanse of the project limits to add another lane, or buy enough to do the future project and locate the sidewalks and the drainage improvements that are required as part of this project far enough away so that when the future project materializes, things won't have to be tore out to do the additional 1 lane of widening.
Thank you for clearing that up. I am sensitive to what SPLOST dollars need to be utilized for, so I do understand that concern. However, Chapel Hill widening has probably been talked about for the last 30 years as it was expressed to us during the town hall. I know we have not done a study. I don't know what the administration prior to this one thought about with the widening of Chapel Hill Road. It is essential. It is an essential thoroughfare in Douglas County. My constituents, including myself, know that it needs to be done. We don't know why it hasn't been done. But under my watch, I want to make sure that we do everything that we can to get to that point. So I don't want to take away from SPLOST dollars to do that, but our pennies, whether they come from the SPLOST dollars or whether they come from the assigned transportation department or other areas, we know it needs to get done, just like the Whitestone culvert had to have many people to put into it to get it done. We want to make sure that things are done in decency and in order, and it doesn't make sense to do double work. So I actually thank you for thinking in advance and bringing your professionalism and your expertise to the project.
Thank you, Commissioner. And in fact, the Chapel Hill widening project is one of the recommendations in our comprehensive transportation plan. So to that end, it is a project that has been vetted and has been discussed by the board and adopted as a recommendation by the board. What we have not done is an actual technical analysis of what it would take for the full widening. However, it is a project that the board has adopted in our comprehensive plan. And it would take at least a year to obtain a right-of-way for this project. If we had to duplicate that later, it would add another year at least at that time.
I thank you for giving us all the facts up front, and what we do with that is up to us, but I thank you for that. Madam Chair, I yield.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Carthen. I believe Commissioner Mitchell, you.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so I just want to go back to item number, I think it's 7 here, if I'm not mistaken, about the schedule. Okay, from what I heard my colleague spoke about earlier, is there or is there not a schedule, or are you planning on putting together a schedule so we can identify the schedule for the general public? That's my first question.
Commissioner, I'll have to defer to Mr. Teal, who's had
Okay.
more discussion with him than I.
Yeah, first we'll have to enter the requisitions, get the POs, And then we'll be sending those POs to, and actually there's a contract for Georgia Power, but an agreement, but we'll be sending those to the respective power companies. They'll get started on their design, and then they'll have to go to GDOT first to get approval. So, yes, to make a long story short, we will get a schedule.
Right, and you'll share that schedule with the commission
Yes, we'll
and the
share it
general
with
public?
commissioners, but it is dependent on, there's one very big variable, and that's whenever we can get approval from Georgia DOT.
Understood. But my concern was just make sure that we are anticipating or looking forward to or looking to have a schedule.
Yes, sir.
So we
That's
won't, so at least the general public can, and we can manage their expectation as well as what we got going on here, so.
Yes, sir.
So the plan is a schedule. Okay, good enough. Okay. And the other question I've got in reference to the ramp lighting, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a total of 8 lights, 2 on each side, going and coming, I'm assuming, with the ramps.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On all 4 legs.
On all 4 legs. Thank you. So it's a total of 8. And Mark, I don't know if you may know this, but what's the cost that the county will incur? And then what's that annual cost that we would incur? So,
So, I got it pulled up right here.
and the reason I'm asking for the general public, while you're looking for that, the reason I'm asking is that so that the general public can understand the necessity of it cost to provide these types of services to the general public, and these excellent services that we provide comes with a price tag of some sort, large or small.
Yes, so the installation cost for the one from Georgia Power, which is at Post Road, is $9,103. There's a monthly fee associated with that of $386.05. Greystone,
What was that monthly fee again?
$386.05.
Okay.
Greystone installation costs for Liberty Road, Highway 5, Chapel Hill, Lee Road, and Thornton Road is $86,627.53, and a monthly fee for all of those at $273 a month. Just to give you an idea of what we spent in 2018, we spent $802,889 on, that was the yearly fees to Georgia Power and Greystone. However, we do receive streetlight tax as revenue from all the streetlight districts, and we received $894,000.
That streetlights tax, though, is charged to the general public, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. $894,435. So there is room to pay for these in the monthly fee. So technically, there's no cost to the county.
Okay, so that means, and I was going to allude to to our matter of fact of, are we budgeted for this? But you kind of answered that other question to add on to this. So there's, at this point in time of referencing that, there's no cost to the budget.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, good enough. Thank you, Miguel. I appreciate it. Outside of that, Madam Chair, I'll yield back.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner
Madam
Mitchell.
Chair.
You have a rebuttal,
Yeah.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Robinson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a rebuttal, but just a clarification, just for the record. Director Valentin, all right, and to my peers on this decision, we've got a consent agenda, we've got some items as part of a consent agenda, and I do not plan on making an amendment per se, because I'm not advocating, but I am clarifying something here in this moment, which is on item number 8, is specifically Chapel Hill Road. And again, the intent is 4 intersections, sidewalks. The original scope of work just acquired a right-of-way. I heard that we should expand the consideration to pick up additional land while we're out there. I get the logic. All right, so the delta between those two, which is what we originally budgeted and what we now think we should go do, is what? How will we make up that delta? Right? It's the delta. 'Cause what I don't want to hear is, oh, wow, we're over budget. Oh, wow, we did this. I'm okay with it. I want you to know what you're doing when y'all cast this vote, right? And I think to Commissioner Carthen's point, which is, okay, you gave us what we needed. And I think we hear what we're listening to. But I just want to be clear. And also, as part of this, we're going to make sure this gets I know Chapel Hill should be on the list, Director Hallman, but we make sure that it's on the long-term capital planning. But I just wanted to clarify, it's about, as Commissioner Mitchell would say, it's about the process. So wait a minute, we're going to commit to something, we haven't done a technical design. Yeah, our intent is we want to go to the moon. Yes, we want to expand Chapel Hill, but if you don't know you got to count the costs. And and I'm still trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, we're obligating ourselves to something that you have not done a true design, right? There's business requirements, technical requirements, right? You know, I understand the difference, so I'm listening to you like, don't sell it. This is more for our peers. Don't defend it. It just becomes like, okay, guys, I'm okay. Just know what we're signing up for. We'll take this back into committee to get the clarification and to close the gap. This is probably not the most ideal way to approach a project. It's okay from the perspective of just the timing. Everything is not aligned. That's one of the things I really look forward to the future. The future here, we got to do better alignment. We've got to do much better program management. All right, I mean, when we talk about operational versus SPLOST, it's like, okay, guys, there's got to be better alignment because there's always a financial underlay, like, okay, I'm just trying to line up the cash flow. Now, how you going to get there? Right, and all I'm hearing is the operational component to it. But it's like, okay, but to make that decision to commit, I need to know the financial implications. And we're just doing it, okay, we're going to acquire a little land here. And that was the traditional way of doing things, guys, and that's what got us in trouble. That's what I'm driving home that point. It was never a true alignment. There's no project schedules. There's none of that that's there, and we're asked to make decisions, and I just happen to have that experience to be able to look at what you're saying. I'm like, oh, my God, really? I can't just trust somebody's words. There has to be better alignment. So it's not a rebuttal, Madam Chair. It's more of just a commentary for us as we make this decision. I'm good. Thank you, ma'am. I yield back.
Commissioner Guyer.
Yes, on that same topic, as I read this, it just says to provide services for the transportation projects as needed. So the scope of the work, it should not be in this. I know that you've designated some of them, and you said to the Chapel Hill project, but are you talking about the SPLOST projects for Chapel Hill? Or are you talking about the expanded one that you've mentioned here today?
No, I'm strictly discussing the task that's been authorized, that's been reviewed by committee, and that is related to the SPLOST project. Now, we do not know exactly how much the cost of the right-of-way acquisition is going to be, whether it be for this project or the future. This particular contract is to begin the process of doing this study.
This is the design.
It's the design so we can identify.
But the design, is it going to include the added right-of-way?
The current SPLOST project will require additional right-of-way.
I know for the sidewalks at the intersections.
Yes.
But does the design, is it going to include the expanded right-of-way that Commissioner Carthen was referring to?
That was the intent, and that's what we've.
But doesn't that have to come before this board?
And certainly.
And the financing has to be
Understood.
pinpointed?
Understood. What we can do is, once we get into the design and we identify the right-of-way that's needed for this project, then we can quantify what that is, and then also quantify what it would take to obtain the additional right-of-way, and then that will come to the board for a decision at that time.
So with this vote today, we're just talking about design as specified in SPLOST projects.
That is correct. There is no expenditure of funds that are being authorized by this approval today.
Okay, I just want to kind of clarify that, because I don't like to spend money that we don't have. And, you know, we all know that the SPLOST monies are getting very, very tight. And we've got enough projects ongoing that we've got to finish before we can see if there's any excess funds to be spent. And then we have a line below there of projects. So I think when you're doing the intersections and the sidewalks, you're going to go out far enough to compensate for it going to 4 lanes to begin with, just on those small sidewalk portions. Because are they going to connect, the sidewalks, are they going to connect all the way down to, from where?
To the school.
From where?
I believe from Deering Drive down to the school.
So that's way on down on the southern side of Central Church Road, really, yeah. So, and Annie-Wakey, it's even further than Annie-Wakey, right?
I don't think it gets down to Anawaki, no.
No? I don't know where Deering Court is,
It's north of the school, about
Right.
a little less than a mile.
Yes.
from the school.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. But anyway, just to clarify, we're just talking about the design for the splosh items that,
As part of this approval,
yes.
it'd be just for design services.
All right. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Director Valentine. Again, we certainly want to manage the citizens' expectations regarding our SPLOST. And my expectations for my program management team for the SPLOST is to manage the commissioners, and not our expectations, but manage our expectations and also advocate for our expectations. Some of these projects are just coming way over what was projected before I came into office. For example, I just used a concession stand. That's $800,000. That's I was blown away. We can do better. We started off with $400,000, so I'm expecting our program management team we paid them a lot of money. We are paying them a lot of money to negotiate, to work with these bidders and contractors to see what we can do to come in exactly what we committed to do, in terms of if we say $400,000, this board is expecting $400,000, not to say we have change orders that creep up to $800,000. You wouldn't be able to finish any of the projects if we just keep going at the rate that we're going. So we need to get a handle on that, and I think we're preaching to the choir. We need to talk to our program management team. They need to work with us. We've given some numbers out there. I know the price of steel and wood and nails and all the other things that we mentioned are up, but we need to pump the brakes a little bit, and we can find somebody that can get these projects up for the amount that we've already put in, those parameters that we've already set. With that being said, Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your vote for this consent agenda. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. Next, we'll move on to our announcements from our own Director of Communications, Mr. Rick Martin.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
And Board of Commissioners, staff. Staff, we have a number of announcements this morning. Douglas County Beautiful, the Douglas County Water Sewer Authority, and the Douglas County Master Gardeners for the Rivers Alive cleanup is inviting the public to come on out for a maintenance day at the Douglas County Courthouse Nature Trail happening Saturday, September 7th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. All ages and skill levels are welcome to participate. To volunteer or to receive more information, the public is invited to call 770-920-7593, 770-920-7593. The public is also invited to join the Douglas County Board of Commissioners for the 2019 Patriots Day ceremony on September 11th, scheduled to occur at 8:40 here at the Douglas County Courthouse in Citizens Hall. Douglas County will be observing this National Day of Service and Remembrance, and will show appreciation for our first responders, veterans, and active military personnel. For more information, please contact Ms. Tiffany Stewart Stanley at 770-920-7436. That's 770-920-7436. The Douglas County Department of External Affairs is now accepting applications from high school sophomores and juniors for the Douglas County Youth Commission. The program is dedicated to educating young citizens about the importance of being actively conscious of their local government, environment, and the opportunities available in the public sector. The program will run from September through April and will meet once a month on Tuesdays from 4:30 to 6:30. Applications will be due no later than September 6th, and the program will start on September 24th. Last but not least, the 17th Annual September Saturdays Festival here at the Douglas County Courthouse will take place the last 2 Saturdays of the month of September. That's September 21st and September 28th. On the 21st, the theme is Heroes Day and Touch a Truck Experience. And on the 28th, Family Day, Fun and Games Festival. All families are welcome. The event will include free admission and free parking. For more information, call myself, 770-920-7303. And that concludes this morning's announcements. I yield to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Director Martin. Any announcements from the Board of Commissioners? Okay, with that being said, we will go into recess until 6 p.m. for the joint P&Z meeting. This time, this meeting is adjourned until the recess ends at 6 p.m.